I'm going to try and keep this as short as I can. This is like my, I think, 8th attempt to make this video. This is my last one. If it winds up being too long, I'm sorry. So this is my review of Octopath Traveler 2. The problem is with the review is there's not a ton I can say. No, really, there isn't. When it comes down to it, Octopath Traveler 2, for the 25 hours I played, I have felt like that entire 25 hours was just Octopath Traveler 1.5, the character update. In my 25 hours, not a single moment I felt like this game was improved or advanced or a sequel. And for it to be charging sequel prices is kind of disgusting in my eyes. When I summarize my whole experience, almost all of my experience, if I had to make a guess, I'd say probably about out of my 25 hours, this is the perfect summary for 24 of those hours. Groundhog's Day by Bill Murray. No, really. That is the perfect summary for 24 of my 25 hours with the game. Just me reliving the same stuff, the same way, with some of the same layouts, with same this, the same that, with no tweak here, no improvement here, and with the same problem I had with the last game, where I have this nasty disconnect that never left me, where I always felt like these characters were barely even connected at all, and that they had, and was constantly being reminded that these characters do not intertwine, become involved with each other, or even interact with each other's stories or lives. They're not even there in the background T-posing even. Which is the same problem I had with the last game. But now it's even worse because the only real change I've been able to find at all is that they've drastically shortened party banters and have shortened freaking cross-path events. Now, to be fair, maybe I just got lucky and in the first game I managed to magically pick the ones that were longer. I doubt it. But maybe. The perfect summary, honestly, from my experience is that this game is just a cut, copy, and paste job. The only things I can read, and I have to dig and scrape and hack and unbury as much as I can, and it's hard as nails to do that. Especially as I was playing the game and trying to find something that this game had that was a big difference or a sequel justifying difference. All I really found was now instead of on a singular continent, I'm on 2 different continents. And that's it. Which should have been enough to make it a sequel worthy. But with how minimalist it is, with how so much of it is pretty much level gated hard as hell, I don't really feel like I can say that it was such a big ad or a big tweak or a cool thing, especially since it honestly until I looked up a guide and went and bought a ship, until then, honestly, I really didn't feel like this game was anything different from the last game. I felt like it was a carbon copy. To the point where honestly it was whenever I would find like a couple of moments of fun, I would quickly lose it as I was being hammered and reminded that this is the same game with the same problems, with the same aspects, with the same designs, with the only thing that ever bothered to try and revive my fun and enjoyment of the game being the characters and the voice acting. Those were the only 2 things that honestly made doing any review at all for this game worth it. This game was so boring and so repetitious to an extreme. It was so the same to the last game, even to chess locations and sometimes overall like environmental area layouts. The only thing that felt actually different, like I said, was characters, voice acting, the cities. But that's it. I outside of those, I never really had any fun. I was bored out of my mind playing the same thing the same way with the same stuff to the same things with the same music. Look, having the same art style isn't necessarily a hindrance, but When everything else is so similar, it doesn't help anything. Nothing really helps this game to separate from the last game, to stop the game from feeling like just a character roster update. I can't really think of any moments where I was just like, this is my favorite moment. This is the best moment. This is the coolest moment. This is the moment that makes it worth any money at all. Honestly, I lost count of how many times I was relieved that I didn't spend money on this, that I did rent it instead. I lost count of how many times that actually saved me from going into a beyond furious rant. Even now, that's what's keeping me calm, what's keeping me from losing my mind, is just the fact that I didn't spend any money on this. I rented it. And I'm glad I did. Because if I did spend $60 or $70 on this game, oh boy. The score that I would probably be giving this game would be like on the scale of either just saying F it and giving it donkey out of 10 or just saying a 0. Just because I wouldn't be able to take it seriously. That's how bad this would have been if I spent any money on this, honestly. I'm glad I didn't. I benefited from not spending a dime on this thing. But I also hate saying all of that because what I wanted for Octopath Traveler 2 was for it to be badass and easy 10 out of 10. But I'd be lying and ignoring all the problems, all the things I felt and experienced as I was playing it. For me, the actual thing to give this, if you are not listening very carefully, this is just what I give it, for one. Two, this is what I give it based off of what I've experienced, what I've gone through, what I've felt as I played it. And honestly, for me, Octopath Traveler 2 very easily winds up at such a painful 5 out of 10 that if I had to give it a subsection, I'd call it boredom or boring inducer. Hell, if I was freaking Doofenshmirtz, I'd say, meet my boringinator. It will bore you to death. That's literally the perfect summary for the game at times. The game that managed to bore me to such an extreme that even when I felt bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and felt like I had slept better than I had in weeks, I play the game and go back to boring, bored, tired, exhausted, drained, and wanting to go to bed. That's an impressive feat. I'll give it that. You've managed to bore me out of feeling good. If that was your goal, good job. But why was that your goal? Is what I'd like to know. Uh, so yeah, I'm any excitement I could have had for an Octopath 3, or any hope I could have had for an Octopath 3, is severely hurt. Okay? The only way I could get myself re-excited for an Octopath game is if they not only acknowledge that they just didn't do enough here, but more so than anything, list a giant, long-ass legal doc saying, we will not pull the shiz again. We will bring our A game, B game, and C game next time. We're sorry for the screw-up. That's the only way I could gain excitement for an Octopath 3, is because of how bad and lazy they did here. There are some minor things I skipped over just to kind of save time, because I don't feel like this review is really worth being 15 minutes or anything more than like 10. So honestly, I am going to call the video off right here, right now. 5 out of 10, extremely excessively boring. Considering Octopath 1 is on Game Pass, just go play that there instead. All in all, there are ways you could improve this franchise, and yes, there is. It is still probably up there for one of the easiest games to fix. True. But I just don't know if I even want to waste my time hoping for it to get better. Especially since the first thing I saw as their first big update, they nerf a subclass in an offline single player game. which was just moronic as far as I'm concerned. So now maybe it was harder this time because of the weird angle, the new attempt at doing things. I do apologize. I don't know if I'll use it again or not. It'll depend. All in all, my overall thing I want to say is simple. I hope you guys managed to laugh at me, laugh with me. I hope managed to get some laughs or jokes out of my mug, my voice. Maybe just get some laughs out of how awkward this attempt is, or maybe laugh at how I still haven't figured out my camera because I can't find my instruction manual. But I do hope I see you all next week where I do an opinion video and kind of talk about just kind of my overall opinions on nerfing versus buffing. Maybe you'll find that interesting. Maybe. Maybe you'll share the same view as I do about nerfing versus buffing, possibly. Maybe. We'll see. But I will see you all next time. See ya.